My name is Lily Carter. I'm 35 years old, a single mother, and until that winter, I was also the person my family expected to quietly fix every problem they created. The group message arrived while I was helping my 9-year-old son tape a paper snowflake to our apartment window. Family ski trip to Arapahoe Basin, my brother announced. Everyone's invited. 4 nights, private lodge, New Year's weekend. This is going to be unforgettable. My son saw the word ski over my shoulder and immediately smiled. He had never been on a mountain before. Then a private message appeared. Don't start making plans. You and your kid aren't coming. Mom agrees. He gets overwhelmed. You get defensive, and both of you kill the vibe. Just let the rest of us enjoy one normal family trip. For several seconds, I didn't move. What would you do if someone called your child a problem while still expecting you to pay for their vacation? I typed, have fun. Turned my phone face down and opened the confirmation email they had all forgotten existed. The lodge was under my name. The deposit had come from my account. The shuttle, equipment rentals catered. Dinners and group lift passes were attached to my corporate event profile. One phone call could erase the entire trip. I looked at my son, who was still smiling at his crooked paper snowflake, and remembered every birthday, dinner, and holiday where I had asked him to shrink himself so adults would feel more comfortable. That night, I stopped asking. Before I tell you what my brother said, when he realized the truth and what happened after I refused to rescue him. Tell me, what time is it where you are right now? And where are you watching from? I want to see how far this story travels. My brother's name was Nathan, and for most of our adult lives, he had treated my competence like a family-owned resource. Whenever our parents needed airport tickets changed, I handled it. Whenever a cousin wanted discounted concert passes, I called someone from work. Whenever Nathan promised more than he could deliver, I stepped in before anyone saw the cracks. I worked as a senior marketing manager for an entertainment company in Los Angeles. My job involved coordinating press events, celebrity retreats, product launches, and corporate travel. I knew how to negotiate group rates, protect deposits, and make impossible weekends appear effortless. Nathan knew that too. 6 months before the ski trip, he had called me with what he described as a chance to bring the family back together. Our father had recently recovered from surgery, and our mother had been complaining that everyone was drifting apart. Nathan suggested a New Year's gathering in Colorado. He offered enthusiasm. I supplied everything else. I researched properties near Arapahoe Basin and found Summit Ridge Lodge, a 12-bedroom private property with a commercial kitchen, heated gear room, game hall, and shuttle access to the mountain. The full price was more than anyone in my family could comfortably afford, but my company had previously used the lodge for an executive retreat. Through that relationship, I negotiated a substantial discount, a flexible cancellation clause, and complimentary equipment fittings for the children. Nathan promised that everyone would reimburse me before the final payment deadline. Let me announce it, he said. People listen when I make things exciting. That should have warned me. Instead, I agreed because I wanted Jake to experience a real family holiday. He had spent years watching photographs of his cousins at gatherings we were told about only afterward. Sometimes my mother claimed she had forgotten to invite us. Other times, Nathan said an activity would be too much for Jake. Jake had sensory processing difficulties. Sudden noise could overwhelm him, and large groups sometimes exhausted him. But he was thoughtful, funny, and remarkably observant. He could identify dozens of bird species, build complex model trains without instructions, and remember every promise anyone made to him. My family reduced all of that to one word: difficult. The first time I fully understood how they saw him was at my father's 60th birthday. Jake was 6. Nathan's son, Caleb, had knocked over a tray of glasses while chasing another child through the dining room. The crash startled Jake, who covered his ears and hid beneath the table. Instead of checking on him, Nathan laughed. There. He goes again, he said. Every event becomes the Jake show. My mother asked me to take Jake outside until he could behave. Caleb continued playing. Jake spent 40 minutes crying in my car because he believed he had ruined his grandfather's birthday. That memory returned as I reread Nathan's private message about the ski trip. He had not accidentally excluded us. He had waited until I completed the planning, secured the discount, and paid the deposit. Then he invited everyone publicly and rejected us privately, assuming I would be too embarrassed to expose him. For years, he had relied on the same pattern. Hurt Lily privately, praise her publicly when something needed fixing, remind her that family forgives, then repeat. But something had changed in me. Maybe it was the way Jake's face lit up when he saw the word ski. Maybe it was the casual cruelty of one normal family trip. Or maybe I finally understood that keeping the peace had never created peace. It had simply made me the safest person to disrespect. I opened the lodge contract. The cancellation deadline was midnight the following day. Canceling before then would return nearly all my deposit minus a modest administrative fee. The equipment company could void the group order without penalty. The shuttle had a 48-hour grace period. The catered meals had not yet been finalized. Nathan had accidentally sent his message at the exact moment I still controlled every part of his perfect vacation. I did not cancel immediately. First, I saved screenshots of the group invitation and his private message. Then I downloaded every receipt, contract, and email showing that the reservations belonged to me. I created a folder titled Arapaho Trip and backed it up. Only after protecting myself did I call the lodge. The event coordinator recognized my name. Are you adjusting the guest list? She asked. No, I said. I'm canceling the reservation. There was a brief pause. The entire property? The entire property. She confirmed the refund and warned me that New Year's weekend was sold out across most of the county. If my group changed its mind, Summit Ridge would probably be rebooked within hours. That's fine, I said. Next, I canceled the private shuttle, equipment rentals, a catered dinners, and lift pass package. 14 adults and 7 children disappeared from the schedule in less than 30 minutes. Then I made dinner for Jake. I did not send an announcement. I did not threaten Nathan. I did not ask my mother to choose sides. Nathan had told me the trip was none of my business, so I treated it that way. For the next 2 days, nothing happened. Nathan continued posting cheerful updates in the family group chat. He told everyone to pack formal clothes. For New Year's Eve, he assigned rooms as though he owned the lodge. He reminded people to send their remaining trip contributions directly to him. That last message caught my attention. I had never authorized Nathan to collect money. Months earlier, I had estimated each adult's share based on the discounted lodge, transportation, meals, and lift tickets. I sent those numbers to Nathan because he insisted on presenting the package to the family. Apparently, he had increased everyone's amount by several $100s and instructed them to pay him instead of me. I checked my bank records. Nathan had reimbursed me only for his own family's basic lodging share. No one else had paid me anything. I wanted to confront him immediately, but I waited, accusing Nathan without knowing the full story would let him create another explanation. He was talented at turning facts into misunderstandings and misunderstandings into attacks against him. 3 days after I canceled, my phone began vibrating at 5:42 in the morning.
That.
First call came from Nathan, then my mother, then Nathan again. By the time I finished making coffee, I had 46 missed calls, 23 text messages, and 4 voicemails. Nathan's first message read, "Call me now." The second said, "The lodge claims you canceled our reservation." The third was longer. What kind of psycho cancels an entire family vacation because she wasn't invited? Fix this before everyone wakes up. You're going to ruin New Year's for 21 people. I stared at the screen almost impressed by his ability to describe the consequence while ignoring the cause. My mother's messages followed. Lily, please don't be impulsive. This is bigger than your feelings. Your father has been looking forward to this. Jake would not have enjoyed the trip. Anyway, that final message erased any remaining doubt. I replied in the family group chat, not. Privately, Nathan told me that Jake and I were not invited because we would kill the vibe. Since every reservation was made and paid for through my account, I canceled the services I would no longer be using. The refund has been processed. I hope Nathan can help everyone arrange the trip, he announced. For nearly a minute, no one responded. Then the chat exploded. My younger sister, Erica, wrote, "Wait, Lily booked the lodge?" An aunt asked, "Nathan, didn't you say you arranged everything?" Our cousin Melissa wrote, "I sent Nathan $1,400 last month. Where did that money go?" Another cousin said she had transferred $1,100. My parents had paid Nathan $2,000. Within 10 minutes, 6 relatives had revealed that they had sent him money. The total exceeded what the entire discounted trip would have cost. Nathan called again. I declined it. Then he posted, "Everyone calm down. Lily is twisting this because she's jealous. I was coordinating payments. The money is safe." I replied with one screenshot. The lodge contract showing me as the reservation holder and the exact total price. Melissa immediately calculated the numbers. If everyone paid what Nathan requested, she wrote, he collected almost $9,000, more than the trip cost. The group chat went silent again. Nathan finally called me from our father's phone. I answered because I knew my parents were sitting beside him. His voice came through tight and controlled. "You need to tell them this was a misunderstanding." "Which part?" "The payment arrangement. I never asked you to collect money. I was simplifying it by charging everyone extra. There were going to be additional expenses." "What expenses?" He hesitated. In the background, I heard my father ask the same question. Nathan lowered his voice. "You don't understand how much work I put into this." I almost laughed. He had selected dates from 3 options. I gave him and written a group text. "How much of their money do you still have?" I asked. "That's not relevant." "It became relevant when you used my booking to collect it." My father's voice sharpened. "Answer her." Nathan went quiet. Then my mother interrupted. "Lily, regardless of the money, canceling was cruel. You could have spoken to us first." "I was spoken to," I said. "I was told my child, and I were not welcome." "You know how Nathan talks." "Yes, I also know how everyone excuses him." My mother changed tactics. She reminded me of my father's surgery. She mentioned the children who were excited. She said families survive by extending grace. I asked her a question. She could not answer. Where was that grace when you agreed that Jake would ruin the trip? Silence. Nathan eventually admitted that he no longer had all the money. He had used part of it to pay credit card debt and intended to replace it after receiving his annual bonus. He insisted it was only temporary. My father ended the call. By lunchtime, Nathan's financial problem had become a family crisis. Relatives demanded refunds. My mother asked everyone to stop discussing it in the group chat. Nathan accused me of publicly humiliating him, but I had not revealed his secret. I had canceled my reservation. Everything else had fallen out of his own pockets. Nathan spent the next 24 hours trying to rebuild the vacation without me. He called Summit Ridge Lodge and demanded that they restore the reservation, only to learn that another group had booked it ours. After my cancellation, he contacted nearby hotels, but New Year's weekend was nearly sold out and the few remaining rooms were scattered across different properties at triple the original price. The shuttle was gone. Rental vehicles, large enough for 21 people, were unavailable, and the discounted lift passes had been canceled. By evening, the vacation he had presented as his generous gift had become impossible to afford. That should have ended it. But Nathan decided the solution was to make me surrender. He arrived at my apartment with our mother and pounded on the door while Jake worked on a model cable car in his bedroom. I stepped into the hallway and closed the door behind me. "You have until tonight to fix the lodge," Nathan said. "It has already been rebooked. Then find another one. This is what you do for a living." "I'm not your travel agent." His face reddened. "You caused this. You excluded the person who owned the reservation." Nathan insisted he had only meant that Jake and I should stay home, not that I should cancel everything. His words exposed what he truly believed. My money, labor, contacts, and professional reputation were supposed to serve the family, even when my son and I were forbidden from enjoying the result. My mother stepped forward and claimed they had been protecting Jake because loud environments overwhelmed him. "What accommodations did you discuss?" I asked. "Did you ask whether he needed a quiet room, separate transportation, or shorter activities? Did you ask him whether he wanted to ski?" Neither of them answered. "You weren't protecting him," I said. "You were removing him." Nathan accused me of turning everything into a courtroom. I reminded him that he had collected thousands of dollars using a reservation under my name. When I asked how much remained, he admitted he had borrowed some of it, but intended to repay everyone with his annual bonus. My mother immediately told me to stop attacking him. I turned to her. "Did you agree that Jake would kill the vibe?" She avoided my eyes and said the trip would have been easier without complications. "Jake is your grandson," I said. "Say his name instead of calling him a complication." Nathan then showed me a smaller lodge, nearly an hour away, and demanded that I reserve it using my company credit card. "You took their money, and now you want me to take on debt so you can keep pretending you organized everything?" I asked. He claimed it would save the family holiday. "It would save your reputation," I replied. I handed his phone back and said no. Nathan warned that I was choosing revenge over family. Consequences aren't revenge just because they happen to you, I said before going inside and locking the door. Jake was standing in the hallway. "Are they mad because of me?" he asked. I knelt in front of him and explained that they were angry because I had stopped allowing them to treat us badly. "Did I ruin the ski trip?" "You didn't ruin anything." He looked uncertain, so I told him the truth in words a 9-year-old could understand. I had planned a trip. Someone decided we were not welcome, and I chose not to pay for a vacation that excluded us. "Can we still see snow someday?" he asked. "Yes," I said, "but we'll go with people who are happy we're there." That night, I booked a small cabin near Lake Tahoe for just the two of us. The family ski trip was officially canceled. 2 days later, Nathan blamed unexpected booking interference, but no one offered sympathy. They wanted their money back. My father gave him 1 week, yet several relatives received only partial repayments. Nathan blamed transfer limits, so our cousin Melissa arranged a Sunday meeting at my parents' house and asked everyone to bring proof of payment. I had no intention of attending until my father called and asked me to bring the original contracts. I agreed on one condition: Jake would come with me. After a pause, my father said, "Of course he will." It was the first time anyone in my immediate family had answered that question correctly. 12 relatives sat around the dining table when Jake and I arrived. Nathan was near the head with his wife Dana beside him. Their 15-year-old son Caleb remained in the living room but could hear everything. My mother had prepared dinner, though no one touched it. Melissa opened a spreadsheet listing every payment Nathan had collected $31,600. My discounted package, including the lodge, transportation, meals, rentals, and lift passes, would have cost approximately $22,400. The difference was $9,200. Nathan claimed the extra money covered emergency funds, gratuities, weather, costs, and activity upgrades. I passed around the contracts proving that gratuities were included, weather, changes were protected, and no upgrades had been ordered. Dana turned slowly toward him. You told me Lily charged everyone those amounts. Nathan said they were estimates. No, irraplia. They weren't. When my aunt asked where the missing money went, he admitted borrowing it for temporary expenses, but refused to explain further. Dana placed her phone on the table. She had checked their joint account and found no large credit card payment. Instead, she discovered thousands of dollars sent to an online sports betting platform. Nathan had used the ski trip money to hide gambling losses. The room erupted. My mother covered her mouth. My father pushed away from the table, and Melissa demanded immediate repayment. Then Caleb appeared in the doorway. Did you take my savings too? He asked. Nathan claimed not to understand. Caleb reminded him about the money his grandmother had given him for a car. The money Nathan claimed he had moved to a better account. Dana's face went pale. Nathan insisted it was safe, but would not show proof. Caleb walked into the room and stood near Jake. You excluded Jake because you said he would ruin the trip, he told his father. But you're the reason there isn't a trip. Nathan ordered him to stay out of adult matters. You involved me when you used my money, Caleb replied. In that moment, Nathan lost the room. My father demanded full banking records. Within 24 hours, Dana said she and Caleb would stay with her sister until she knew the extent of the debt. Melissa threatened to legal action, while several relatives apologized to me for laughing at Nathan's past remarks about Jake. Nathan turned toward me. This is what you wanted, isn't it? Everyone against me? No, you set this up. I canceled a lodge. I didn't make you lie, take their money, gamble with it, or touch your son's savings. He accused me of humiliating him publicly and blamed the conflict on my inability to accept that every event could not revolve around Jake. Before I answered, Caleb spoke. Nothing revolves around Jake. That's the problem. Everyone expects him to disappear. My father looked at Nathan. You will not blame a child for what you did. Nathan searched our mother's face for protection, but this time she remained silent. Dana left with Caleb. My father collected the financial records and Nathan walked out alone. As Jake and I put on our coats, Caleb apologized to him for laughing at his father's jokes. Jake considered him, then asked, do you still want to see snow? Caleb smiled and said, yes. Jake looked at me, but I was not ready to turn our cabin trip into another family rescue mission. I told Caleb perhaps another time. A boundary did not make me cruel. It made my yes worth something. The next week destroyed the last pieces of Nathan's story. Bank records showed that he had spent almost all the extra trip money and transferred part of Caleb's savings into an account Dana did not know existed. Some funds covered gambling losses. Others paid for restaurants, electronics, and a weekend trip he had described as business. Dana froze their joint accounts and contacted an attorney. My father used some emergency savings to reimburse two elderly relatives who could not wait, but he refused to quietly erase Nathan's debt. Nathan had to sign a formal repayment agreement, sell his new SUV, cancel his luxury memberships, and reduce his expenses. Individually, those consequences seemed small. Together, they dismantled the image he had spent years protecting. He was no longer the successful oldest son who organized everything. He was the man who stole credit for his sister's work, excluded her child, collected money under false pretenses, and gambled part of it away because Nathan had invited 2 family friends, who had also paid him the story spread, into his professional circle. He worked in commercial real estate, where trust mattered. I never contacted his employer, but rumors reached a business partner. A client withdrew from a deal, and his manager removed him from an account involving pooled investor funds while the company reviewed his conduct. Nathan called me that evening. "You've made your point," he said. "I didn't contact your company." He accused Melissa of telling everyone, though she had paid him $1,400 and had every right to explain why she wanted it returned. "I could lose my job," he said. "Then cooperate with the review." After a long silence, he asked me to tell the family I forgave him so they would calm down. It was not an apology. It was another task. "What have you done to heal the family?" I asked. He said he was repaying everyone because you were caught. He claimed he had apologized to our father, so I asked whether he had apologized to Jake. Nathan dismissed the idea because Jake was only 9. He was old enough to be excluded. I said he understood every joke, every missing invitation, and every time someone treated him like a burden. Nathan became defensive and reminded me that our mother had agreed with him. "Then why am I the villain?" he asked. "Because you're still trying to distribute blame instead of accepting your part." 2 days later, my father arranged a family video call. Nathan agreed to explain the finances, provide a repayment schedule, and apologize. I joined from home with Jake beside me, making it clear that he could leave whenever he wanted. Nathan appeared in a dress shirt and read from prepared notes. He admitted that I had arranged the trip, that he had presented my work as his own, and that he had collected more money than necessary before spending it without permission. Then he addressed me directly. "Lily, I'm sorry I excluded you and Jake. I told myself the trip would be easier because Jake sometimes needs accommodations. Instead of discussing that respectfully, I treated him like a problem and expected you to keep supporting the vacation. That was selfish and cruel. I blamed Lily after the cancellation because admitting the truth would have exposed what I did with the money. She didn't cause this. I did. My father asked whether I accepted the apology. I acknowledge it, I said. Forgiveness will depend on what Nathan does next. An apology doesn't immediately restore trust, access, or our previous relationship. Then, snorts, Jake asked to speak. He leaned toward the screen. "Uncle Nathan, I don't like loud rooms. Sometimes, but I don't ruin them." Nathan closed his eyes briefly. "No, you don't. You could have asked if I wanted to go." Jake continued. "And if I needed a break, Mom would help me." Nathan admitted he was right. Jake's words reduced the conflict to its simplest truth. Nathan had not excluded a complication. He had excluded a child who could have answered for himself. Caleb then told Nathan he would not return home until his savings were restored, and Nathan began gambling. Counseling. Dana supported him. My father announced that Nathan would no longer manage shared money or family travel, and Alyssa confirmed that the repayment agreement would remain in place. Nathan wanted forgiveness to erase the consequences. Instead, he received the first honest version of accountability our family had ever given him. Jake and I left for Lake Tahoe on December 29th. Our cabin was small with 1 bedroom, a pull-out couch, and a kitchen barely large enough for 2 people. There was no private chef, game hall, or heated equipment room. We did not need any of it. On our first morning, Jake stood outside and borrowed snow pants while flakes collected on his hat. He held out both hands and laughed when the snow melted against his gloves. For years, I had imagined giving him a perfect family memory. I thought perfection required grandparents, cousins, matching sweaters, group photographs, and a long table filled with people standing beside that quiet cabin. I finally understood that belonging was not measured by how many relatives occupied a room. It was measured by whether the people inside made you feel safe enough to be yourself. We enrolled in a beginner's ski lesson. Jake fell repeatedly, became frustrated, and asked for 10 minutes alone near the lodge fireplace. No one rolled their eyes. No one called him dramatic. His instructor simply told him where to meet us when he was ready. After his break, he returned to the slope and completed the beginner run. Without falling, at the bottom he raised both poles above his head. I didn't ruin skiing, he shouted. The sentence broke my heart and healed part of it at the same time. I hugged him and said, "You never ruined anything." That evening, my father called. He and my mother had decided not to travel after the Arapaho trip collapsed. He asked to speak with Jake and congratulated him on his first ski run. Then my mother came on the line. Her apology was less polished than Nathan's, but more honest than I expected. She admitted that she had supported excluding Jake because she feared his needs would inconvenience everyone. She said she had told herself it was practical rather than cruel. Hearing Jake speak during the family meeting forced her to recognize that she had discussed him as though he were not a person. I failed him, she said. And I failed you by expecting you to accept it quietly. I did not rush to comfort her. I need you to understand that things won't return to normal. I said, I know you will not invite me somewhere and exclude Jake. You will not discuss his needs without us. And if anyone mocks him, I will leave immediately. I understand. We'll see whether you do. For the first time, she accepted a boundary without calling it punishment. Nathan's consequences continued after New Year's. His employer completed its review and allowed him to remain with the company, but he lost access to client funds and was moved away from a major account. His income dropped because several commissions disappeared. Dana required separate finances and continued living apart while he attended gambling counseling. Caleb's savings were restored after Nathan sold the SUV, but trust between them returned much more slowly. At family gatherings, Nathan no longer occupied the center of every conversation. People stopped laughing automatically when he made cutting remarks. When he tried to dismiss someone's concern as oversensitivity, another relative challenged him. He hated that change at first. Accountability often feels like disrespect to people accustomed to immunity. 3 months after the canceled trip, my father hosted a small birthday dinner. Jake and I attended with our own car so we could leave whenever we chose. Nathan arrived early. He did not approach Jake immediately or perform another public apology. Instead, he asked me whether it was all right to give him a gift. The question mattered more than the gift. It was a beginner's book about mountain wildlife. Jake opened it, studied the cover, and asked Nathan whether he knew the difference between a bobcat track and a lynx track. Nathan admitted he did not. Jake spent the next 10 minutes explaining. Nathan listened. That did not erase what happened. It did not transform him into a different person overnight. And it did not obligate Jake or me to trust him fully. But it was the first interaction I had seen between them in which Nathan allowed Jake to exist without judging, correcting, or mocking him. Later, Caleb showed Jake photographs from a school trip. The two of them began planning a future day in the snow. Nothing expensive, nothing controlled by Nathan, just cousins learning to snowboard together. My mother asked me before making any plans. My father checked that the location had a quiet indoor space. Small changes perhaps, but real ones. People sometimes describe my decision as the moment I canceled a family vacation out of revenge. That version is easier for them because it turns the story into one dramatic act. The truth is less convenient. I canceled services that belonged to me after being told my child and I were not welcome. Nathan's humiliation came from his own lies. His financial losses came from his own choices. His damaged relationship with his wife and son came from his own deception. I did not create those consequences. I simply stopped standing between him and them. For years, my family believed I was strong because I tolerated everything. They were wrong. Tolerance had been my fear of losing them. Strength was realizing that anyone who required my silence as the price of belonging had already chosen to lose me. The canceled lodge cost me a small administrative fee. Nathan lost money, status, authority, and the unquestioned loyalty of the people closest to him. More importantly, he lost the protection that had allowed him to confuse cruelty with humor and entitlement with leadership. Jake gained something too. He learned that his needs did not make him defective. He learned that adults could be challenged. He learned that his mother would not purchase acceptance by teaching him to disappear. On our final morning in Tahoe, we stood outside the cabin while snow covered the road. Jake asked whether I regretted canceling the larger trip. I thought about the 46 missed calls, the accusations, the family meeting, the missing money, and the months of consequences that followed. Then I looked at my son. No, I said, I regret waiting so long to stand up for us. He nodded as if the answer were obvious. Maybe it should have been. So let me ask you this. If your family happily accepted your money, labor, and loyalty, but rejected the person you loved most, would you keep paying for a place at their table? Or would you finally take your name off the reservation? Leave your answer in the comments. And remember, walking away from disrespect does not destroy a family. Sometimes it is the only thing that forces a family to see what was already broken.